Happy Friday. Welcome back to a new video. It's a school day today, so Gianna is dropped off, and on the way home here I needed to make a quick run to Target to make a return and got myself a coffee here. I did the brown sugar oat milk shaken espresso. The first time I got this drink like last year it was okay, but the barista in Target made it very good today. I also picked up Gianna one last thing for her Easter basket. The Easter bunny told me that he already had most things but needed help just picking up one last item. So I just got her some more chapstick to go in her basket here. Just a pretty quick run to Target, and I'm on my way home now because I have a therapy session on my phone. So I'm gonna do that and then run some errands and do lunch with my girlfriends, and I'm planning to get a workout in later this afternoon too. So it's a little solo mom day and I'm excited to hang out with you guys. Hey. No, I was too. I was sorry about that. I was lost track of time and it had just been a weird off morning, so hard morning. No worries. Gosh, sometimes I just never know how therapy is gonna make me feel, but sometimes you just need to get it out, need to cry. So I actually used to use BetterHelp, which I loved because it was so convenient, especially having like a little one at home. Could literally do a telehealth call on my phone, and I really liked the convenience of it. And the counselor I did find on BetterHelp ended up starting like her own practice, so I did move off of the platform. But I would totally recommend something virtual if it's not super reasonable to actually like go to a therapist's office. So BetterHelp would be a good starting place. But I feel like too now a lot of offices are starting to do more virtual visits. So that would be something great to look into that's local to your area. But today's session did make me think about and realize I do want to talk about some things later. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix up my makeup, fix up my mascara, and then whatever is going on hormonally on my chin right here. Get going for lunch and then talk about some things when we get back. Cold breeze on your body. I can't tell you really what it is, but you got it. Makeup in the morning, you got dresses in your closet, but you grab them tight, you in love with being modest. You a move body giving interviews. I'm just saying I'm amused, but you ain't even flexing. And you cool, tatted up, cover wounds, different vibe, you new and improved, but you ain't even flexing. And you ain't gotta try too hard. Number one fan, your side, you applaud. Got me think about inside the walls. Words cut deep, it's like a sword. So lunch was pretty darn good. We went to this new place called Hudson Cafe. They have like a location in downtown Detroit but opened something more local. I got like a club sandwich with some sweet potato fries and it was very good. Definitely want to go back there at some point, especially probably with George for like breakfast one morning. It made me like super thirsty though. It was a kind of a salty lunch, so I'm like craving water right now. I don't know if you can hear it, but our neighbors have some German Shepherd puppies that are being trained, so they can get a little yappy sometimes. But I swear, the days when Gianna is in school, she's going Wednesdays and Fridays right now, they honestly just go by so fast. I feel like by the time we drop her off to dinner time, everything just in between goes by so quickly. I feel like I'm just always rushing around doing things or cleaning or getting to like a point A to point B or appointments. And I feel like too, and the thing that I wanted to talk about, I've just been having like this overall sense of overwhelm. I'm just always feeling very like stressed out, overwhelmed, and it's been for like years now. It's frustrating too because I feel like I'm doing all the right things, like going to therapy, I'm eating healthy, I'm working out, I am getting adequate sleep, I'm practicing mindfulness, I'm drinking my water, I'm doing self-care, I'm getting outdoors. But still there's just like this like cloud that I can like not shake no matter what I feel like I do. And so I've been trying to like dig deeper and trying to like figure out why I'm feeling like this, because it really does make just getting through the day sometimes so difficult, especially when having to take care of a toddler, because it's like I'm already not doing well mentally, and then trying to like take care of someone else and be responsible for someone else on top of that is just really tricky and hard. And so it's like I've been thinking like, what could be the issue? Why am I so stressed out? And granted, these last few years probably have not been easy for any of us, just with like COVID, the pandemic, all of that stuff. Like that just created like a huge obstacle for everybody. But I've been feeling like this even before 2020 and for a majority of like my adult life, and I feel like these symptoms have just been getting like worse like post 2020 and all of that. And if you were to ask me like sitting here right now today, like why are you overwhelmed, I probably would say that I just feel like a lot of pressure and stress to like have another baby. And I know I like don't owe an explanation to like anybody, and it's a very private matter and decision, but George and I were just starting to feel ready, or at least I was starting to feel ready like late 2022, and our plan was like, okay, come January 1st 2023, let's try. But then like everything happened with my dad and his passing, and it just made things more complicated, I feel like, again. But I'm still feeling the pressure from myself like to have another kid, and I feel like it's just like pushed to like have your kids like super close in age together, and the longer we wait, the bigger the age gap's gonna be, and then I just start like overthinking and spiraling from there. And then I feel pressure from like just other people because they ask, like more so just them being conversational than like trying to like be hurtful or prying or anything. But I feel like whenever that question is asked, it's just very, and it has become just like super like triggering for me. Because I mean, like the easy answer is, oh, we're not ready, or to say like, oh, I've never really wanted kids close in age, I do want them more spread apart. Because me and my sisters, I'm the oldest of 3, and at one point my mom had 3 kids under 2 years old. So that is just like, we grew up super close in age, our personalities could not be any different. And now I feel like as a mom, when I ask her like, oh, do you remember like me when I was this age or what I did then, she just can't remember because it just all blurs so much together. And I just feel like I don't really want that for my kid, or I just want to be able to like enjoy Gianna's childhood and remember her as she was at this age, instead of like just like rushing into the next thing, where I guess is kind of like where my perspective and mindset comes from. I just always felt like having kids super close in age like me and my sisters were just like wasn't in the cards, and just like wasn't something I wanted because of that. So when that question gets asked of baby number 2, that's usually what I'll say. But then if I'm being like completely vulnerable and 100% honest, it's just that I feel so overwhelmed and stressed out all the time, and I cannot imagine bringing in another child into what life already feels like, and going through like that whole newborn stage again with how I feel and how life is right now. Because it's like not even just like these past 3 years since 2020 that have been rough, but just like these last 10 years, just so much has happened, and I've gone through so many big like major life changes and events that sometimes I'm like, hey God, me again, Stephanie, can you cut me some slack? Because honestly, it's just been one thing after another, and it just makes me feel like that I just cannot pull myself up from drowning. Before I can ride out the wave of something, another one just comes right down on top of me, and that's just been like really hard to live with, because everything that's happened, they're like normal life events, like going to school, moving, getting married, having a baby, all of that stuff. But just like the time period that they had happened in, I think that is what it's creating so much chaos and stress and overwhelm, because like once something would happen, I didn't have like that full time to adjust to the change before a new one was thrown my way. It's kind of how I feel, because they say like a big life change, whether it's positive or negative. So like the positive ones being like, oh, going to school, getting married, having a child, and then more so the negative ones of like job loss or losing a parent. So whether the change is a good or a bad one, adjusting to a change like that can take like 1 year to 18 months. And I feel like that would explain a lot of why I'm feeling like this chronic stress, because I didn't necessarily have that time to like adjust from like one change to the next to actually like get my footing underneath me again and like be more resilient for the next thing to happen, like if that makes sense. So I kind of want to go over like these last 10 years to just like get it out there, like, and not to create like a comparison game, because I feel like people out there probably have it 10 times worse than me, and I should be so lucky and blessed in certain areas. But it's more so feeling like just like a pressure valve that just like needs to be released, because some days I feel like I'm gonna explode from it all. Honestly, rather I feel like I'm going to implode. If you've ever felt like that, let me know, because it definitely, I feel for you, it's a weird feeling. I just turned 28, and definitely being a millennial, I am not shy, I feel like, sharing my life online or my feelings or my emotions, because Tumblr back in 2010 was my thing, and I feel like I got a lot of like cathartic release on the old Tumblr, but now I have a safe space to have a conversation here with you guys. And I just want to say this stuff too, because maybe you've been dealing with something similar, and maybe you're like trying to figure out why you might be struggling so much in day-to-day life as well, having brain fog, or just seeing these like physical symptoms as like the stress like manifests over time. I had to change my battery, but my foot fell asleep. But again, like, I don't want to say any of this to like create a comparison war of like, oh, but I have it worse, because you probably do, to be honest, or like an oh, woe is me, or receive any pity. Not my goals at all. I'm honestly just using this as a free venting resource, free source of therapy, and I don't know, maybe just it will help like create more points of connection with you guys. So if we go back to 2013, 2013 was not a good time for me. It was my graduating year of high school, but my parents were also going through a god-awful divorce, and it was a long time coming. Lots of yelling in the home, substance abuse, very, very toxic. It was like one of those families that looked amazing, perfect, wonderful from the outside, but in the inside walls of the home, things were just completely damaged. And on top of that, I was dealing with a eating disorder. I honestly try to block out and forget this part of my life, but it was a huge part of my life for quite a while. It was mostly restrictive eating, and then a couple of years of like binging, but that created like a roller coaster and a huge challenge for me as like an individual. So home life, personal life, definitely weren't all that great. Like in the divorce, there were just things that happen, especially now as a mom. I'm like, how would you even allow that to happen to a child, or act a certain way like in front of your child? Like, there's just things that happen that like even to this day in my therapy session, I'm like still trying to work through. So it was just not fun, super bad time. And then I graduated in the spring of 2013 and ended up going to Michigan State, or escaping to Michigan State, in the fall of 2014. So those were my college years. I was still being treated for anxiety, depression, eating disorder, but just like between the years of 2013 to when I graduated in 2017, so 4 years, I moved 7 times. And so like a move would be considered a big life change, right? And of course, going to school is like such a huge privilege, but because of like my parents getting divorced and like us having to like move and then move again and then bouncing around between like dorms, a different dorm every single year, and then I did like an internship in Chicago my junior year. It was just like I was literally living out of a suitcase. It felt like a total nomad. And like of course like going to school just brought about a lot of financial stress, and I worked my butt off to be able to like go to school. At one point I was working like 2 jobs to like equal like 40 hours a week plus taking 12 credits, because honestly I had to. I like couldn't afford to go to school if I had no money, because the money that was set aside for me to go to college was just gone after the divorce and the lawyer fees. So that kind of sucked. But I did, of course, learn a ton of good work ethic, and I'm very proud of myself for, you know, being able to do that and everything. But it definitely was not easy by any means. And then I started dating George, of course, and I was staying at his place. So that was like move number 8, I guess. Luckily though, meeting George and dating him was like a huge catalyst to like my eating disorder recovery. I don't know why exactly, but I don't know. He maybe just helped me feel more comfortable in my own skin, loved, all of that stuff. So that is something I'm definitely have been very grateful for. And then when I graduated in the spring of 2017, I got my first job. I was studying hospitality business up at school and got my first big girl job as a restaurant manager. So again, that was just like another major life event with graduating and then accepting a new job. And then in October of 2017, I got engaged. George proposed. We had been dating for, I think, like almost 5 years. Have we? Was it? Okay, maybe we were only dating like 4 years, but he proposed. So a very exciting life event. But then we also started planning a 300% wedding, so that brought a lot of stress as well. We got married and our wedding was in August 2018, and then actually we weren't living together after our wedding, so it still felt like a very like Romeo and Juliet kind of situation. So we started looking for like a house for us as a married couple to live together in, I think in like October of 2018, and didn't end up getting our condo until November 2018. But then in November 2018 as well, that is when my dad told us about his cancer diagnosis, and it was very shocking, of course, especially with him telling us it was stage 4 cancer. And I honestly freaked out. I got very nervous about how much time was left, and I quit my job. So I put in my like 2 weeks notice, and it wasn't really a job I was like super happy at anyways, but it was like my first, you know, career thing. So I put in my 2 weeks notice, and I quit my job in December 2018. I just felt like it was the best thing to do, because again, I was working a restaurant job at like 50 to 55 hours a week, and really I just wanted to have the time to spend with my dad and be able to like take him to his appointments, because my middle sister lived out of state and my youngest sister was still in school. So I just wanted to be able to do that for him and be available to help. So then he started chemo, and I was just really struggling like to figure out my identity, because I feel like I just worked my ass off for 4 years in college, and it just kind of made me feel like, well, for what? And that was just like a whole thing in its own, but I knew I wanted to be there for my dad. And then in the spring of 2019, my mom told us that she had cancer, and I'm very thankful it was only stage 1, and proud of her for taking really good care of herself and catching it early. And she has done well with radiation and all of her checkups and stuff. But like living with the fact that both of your parents have cancer at the same time, pardon my French, but it's like a mind fuck. Like it just makes you question like everything, I feel like, and it creates so much anxiety about the future. So that was really, really hard. My dad then had his first major surgery in the summer of 2019, and the surgery, with like how extensive it was, didn't have a super high survival rate. It was just like a very rare procedure that they had to do. So that was just super nerve-wracking. We like all went down to the Cleveland Clinic for like a week, and we're there for the, you know, the surgery day and his recovery and stuff. And again, it's just so hard watching someone you love go through something like that. And then at the end of the summer, that's when George and I got pregnant. So super happy, but also very scary with the uncertainty of like, would my dad be able to meet the kid, or just like, you know, general like first time mom things. So then like fast forward, and we have Gianna at the end of May 28th, 2020. She's almost about to be 3. And of course, that's when COVID happened. And it's like, I hate to look at it this way, but it's still so much of a part of a life that I grieve, because all like my expectations or like hopes and dreams and desires of becoming a mom were kind of just like shot down because of lockdowns and the pandemic. So I really didn't get to have that first time mom experience of like going to the, you know, the hospital birthing classes, or just having a baby shower, or having people to help me take care of my new child. And I just felt like I couldn't take her anywhere, which kept us like super isolated. And it makes me feel so bad for thinking at least people got to like postpone their graduations or postpone their weddings, but it's like I could not postpone like giving birth to a baby. Like that was just like something I could not have done, and that was so out of my control. And so sometimes I still feel like I am going through this grieving process of all the mom things I thought I would do with my child, like taking my baby to Target in the stroller, or going to like a mommy and me newborn class or whatever. They were just like gone. And that's hard to like have these high hopes and expectations, and then to just like end up having them shattered. It honestly just feels like grief in a way, even though I've lost nothing. Like I have a healthy, beautiful child out of it, but it's like I still grieve that babyhood that I didn't get to have with her, in a sense, in a way. And then while the pandemic was going on in October 2020, we lost my husband's mom. I know that was very hard on him, and Gianna was still so young, and not having lost someone at that time, I didn't really understand everything that George was completely going through, especially since he didn't kind of like vocalize it. He's a little more reserved and likes to keep to himself about stuff like that. But I know it was not easy for him by any means, because it has not been easy for me. So that was another really hard life change for our family. And then to fast forward a little bit, this time last year we started looking for homes, or more like in January of 2022. But then just being in need of like more space, we ended up buying a home in one of the worst housing markets since probably 2008. I remember it being such a stressful time, because I think we saw almost like 40 homes, and it was just such a stressful time with like getting outbid with these all cash offers, and just like this feeling of like hopelessness of like, when are we actually ever going to be able to like get ourselves into a new home. But then we did find this home, which ended up being a fixer-upper. Everything was just kind of like outdated, brown, whatever. And again, it is like such a privilege to be able to like renovate a home and do that kind of stuff, but it also brings about a lot of stress, and that just comes with like endless decision making, which I'm not that good at to begin with, and financial burden, and then having to like rely on other people's timelines. Like we have been waiting for some of our closet doors to come in for months, I feel like, just because of like how backlogged like inventory and the supply chain is. So again, it's like something you can't control, but like ultimately have to go through to like get the end result that you're looking for. But yeah, renovating a home can create a lot of conflict, and it's fun but also very tiring and very hard. And then here in December 2022, that's when, you know, my dad got very, very sick and we had to go to the hospital. He was only in the hospital, I feel like, for 2 weeks, 2.5, but it honestly just felt like months with like how many hours we spent at the hospital. And we ended up having to go through hospice. And again, it's just so hard to watch someone that you view as a superhero in that way being so weak. And he fought so hard, and just seeing in someone's eyes that they know they're ready to go and just for the pain to stop is really hard. And being the oldest just put a lot of stuff on my plate with, you know, signatures and the authority, and it's just created this whole new journey of grief for me. And I'm so thankful to have George by my side to go through it, and therapy and loved ones, friends, family, but it's still just, it's like just like little everyday things that like bring about the grief that is really hard. And then again, we had to pack up his whole apartment, and that took like the better part of all of January. So I felt like we moved twice in 1 year, with going from the condo to our house to literally packing up a whole other house and person's belongings in like the beginning of January, and all of his stuff is in our basement still. So that's why when people ask, hey, when's baby number 2? I'm like, I need a break. I just need a moment to catch a beat, because life has just not been a walk in the park. I just feel like a lifetime's worth of events has happened in such a short period of time that that's what's making things very, very difficult. Just like in terms of being in this constant state of overwhelm and feeling stressed out. I just like literally have not had time to adjust before like something else comes crashing down on me. I think growing our family would be so amazing. We have the extra bedroom for it now, which is why we moved. But I really just want to feel like I have some ground underneath my feet before entering like a new change. That took me a lot longer to get off my chest than I thought it would, but it kind of feels good. I don't know. You know, life's just hard enough as it is, and it's messy. And if you're watching this, whether you're a parent or not, that whole baby question can be very, very personal. And I feel like it's just a very personal decision, and everyone's timeline is going to look so different, and that's okay. At the end of the day, a healthy mom, you know, especially mentally, is going to be the best mom for her kid. And if that's finally something that I feel like can be in my control, I'm going to reserve that for when I am feeling my best to do so. I know that was a lot, but it has been a lot, and that's just been my reality, and a mix of the ups and downs, the positives and negatives. But I think just taking a beat for this current stage of life that I'm in will be super helpful and set me up well for the next one to come. Dang, it definitely got a lot later than I was expecting it to. I know George is outside with Gianna right now, but I do need to get some dinner started. We're gonna have some steaks with chimichurri sauce, and then I do like roasted potatoes and peppers on the side, which turns out pretty good. I was thinking I'd get in that workout before George got home, but it might have to turn into an after hours workout. But I found the workout I want to do, which is like this bar mat workout, so a little lower impact, because I'm not gonna lie, between the therapy and just talking just then to you guys, a little worn out. But I will link the workout down below because I've done it before and it is a good one. So I don't know if this is the most perfect ending to a vlog like this, but maybe that's okay. So thank you though very much for being here. I really appreciate your support of my channel and learning more about you guys and connecting. So I will see you in the next one. Bye. I can't tell you really what it is, but you got it.
Makeup in the morning, you got dresses in your closet, but you grab them tight, you in love with being modest. You a move body giving interviews, I'm just saying I'm amused, but you ain't even flexing. And you cool, tatted up, cover wounds, different vibe, you new and improved, but you ain't even flexing. And you ain't gotta try too hard.